And since I never fucking learn, and I'll probably post this video on Reddit only to get fucking downvoted and disliked to oblivion, I'm just gonna state this up front. The title is an exaggeration, don't be a dum-dum. Right, so on to the stuff. So what I notice across Reddit, across many YouTubers, is that as far as tanking goes, it looks like this. This is a tank. I know, well done, Toby. These are a bunch of horny as fuck, barely legal night elves. Fuck it, ready to jump on anything, really. Oh my, by any chance are you a tank? Yes. Perhaps you're a Fury Prot? No, I'm a D Prot. Oh, okay, bye. Now let's replay this one more time with a different spec. This is a tank, and these, well, you already know who they are. Oh my, by any chance are you a tank? Yes, still a tank. Perhaps you're a Fury Prot? Yeah, I've actually just respec'd into— Oh my god, let me suck your dick! That's not how it works. Listen, I don't inherently hate Fury Prots. They're a fine spec. They have their, without a doubt, they have their clear advantages, but this whole fucking madness around them, like, oh my god, dude, how can you not be a Fury Prot? But what about Fred? Dude, it's 2020, Fury Prot, yabba dabba fucking dude. It's just fucking absurd. And like, here's the thing, here's... If you're having threat issues, it's probably not your spec, it's probably because your tank sucks. And if your tank sucks, then he's just gonna suck another spec. But the very key thing about this whole discussion is it depends. And if there's like anything I'd like you to take away from this fucking shitty video, is that exactly that. It depends. But to that end, I cannot just go straight into Black and Glare encounters, you know, going through them one by one, explaining mechanics, showing that Fury Prot for the most part is pretty fucking useless there, because my comment section is just gonna get zug with like, oh my god dude, but what if we kill Veilstraz in 5 seconds? Well, fuck you, I don't give a shit, this is not the point that I'll be arguing. So, to get us all on the same page, this video is gonna consist of 3 parts. The first one is going to be a quick overview of like Fury Prot and D Prot, some simulation numbers. The second part will be every single Black and Glare encounter, explaining mechanics and, you know, why Fury Prot for the most part is useless there. And the third part will be me sharing what we do in our guild with this whole D Prot Fury Prot situation to what I would consider pretty good success. So just skip to whichever parts if you want, just don't be a zug in the comments. Now, starting with the quick overview, let's make this real quick. In a nutshell, Fury Prot scales better. The more threat you equip on both Deep and Fury Prot, the bigger the difference between them will become. That's a no-brainer, nobody is arguing that. What Fury Prot also have going for them is that mitigation mainly comes from the gear, not the talent. If you go full mitigation gear on both specs, the difference will be somewhere around 5% in damage taken. That's pretty insignificant. If you remove the shield, however, and start dual wielding, it suddenly skyrockets to 20-something, maybe 40-something%. Let me summarize this again. Fury Prot scales better, and mitigation primarily depends on the gear. However, what most people are missing, and this is the crucial part of my argument, most folks are underestimating just how much threat a D Prot can produce while in full mitigation gear. Now let me repeat that real slow to really get the point across. Most folks are underestimating just how much threat a D Prot can produce while in full mitigation gear. Now obviously this implies that this video is tailored towards casual guilds like random pucks, folks that clear Black and Glare in around 90 minutes, maybe 2 hours, occasionally wipes, fuck knows. If you're hardcore and you want to push Veil to sub 45, sub 30 seconds, you come in full wall buffed, yada yada yada, just fucking go Fury Prot, that's all you need to know really. I'll also say that I'm an Alliance player, so obviously we have it easier because Salvation's fucking broken, like retarded strong, but even for Horde, killing a boss 20 seconds slower is a much more desired outcome than a tank risking dying. Not dying, but risking dying. There's no discussion there. The worst thing that can happen in any encounter is your tanks dying. Everything else, including slowing down the DPS, including healers running out of mana, is a far less significant issue. Now to illustrate or prove my point, Here are a few rough simulations I ran. I compared a D Prot versus Fury Prot in full mitigation gear, like tier 1 kind of level gear. You can see it's on the screen right now. It's solid gear for black and layer tanking. Here's the two simulations I ran. First, fully wall buffed DMT, ZG, Onyxia, and a bunch of DPS consumables like Mongoose, Julian, and perhaps something else, I don't fucking remember. Now the results are pretty clear. Fury Prot is dishing out more fret regardless whether he's using a shield or dual wielding, and obviously he's taking way more damage. It seems the ratio here is 1-to-1, basically for a 1% increase in fret you get 1% increase in damage taken, roughly. Now if we go for a more casual environment, no wall buffs, only defensive consumables, and like one core DPS consumable for which I chose Elixir of Mongoose, suddenly while wearing a shield, Fury Prot actually does less fret per second than a D Prot. Imagine fucking that. As far as dual wielding, it suddenly becomes a 1-to-2 ratio. For each 1% increase in fret, you increase your damage taken by 2%. Obviously, this is just to illustrate the point about how it's mostly the gear that means mitigation, and how a D Prot can actually out-fret a Fury Prot given a lack of consumables and buffs. Do not use this as a rule, it's only for illustration reasons. Now on to the second part of this video where I tell you that fret for the most part doesn't fucking matter. Let's go straight to the big guns. The most fret intensive fight we have right now is Veil Strats, right? Here's a recording of me main tanking as a D Prot. This is the gear I'm wearing. Nothing too crazy, it's okay-ish. It's my alt character, so you know, I only run pugs with it. So I'm tanking, and let's beat this up. So I'm tanking and suddenly, oh, what the fuck? Wait, how's this Druid pulling fret? What the fuck? I told you D Prot can't hold fret. No, it's not the spec, it's the fucking player. Calm the fuck down. I'm a shitty tank, okay? Here's the logs. These bars are my heroic strike cast. You see these gaps? You know what they mean? They mean your tank sucks. The first thing you do in Veil Strats fight as any warrior is make some goddamn macros. I know it's complicated, macros, what the fuck, but just bear with me for a second. What you add to every single skill of yours is slash, cast, heroic, strike. That's it, that's the macro. Add it to every single skill you use, and don't be a dum-dum like me forgetting to put it under Sunder Armor. That's why I miss heroic strikes, that's why I lost fret. Not because I didn't have a single wall buff, or I'm a cheap fuck who substitutes Mongoose with agility potion, and the only secondary DPS consumable I use is Juju Might. Not because the druid that pulled had all wall buffs and a shit ton of DPS consumables. No, I'm a shitty tank who effectively fucked up his rotations. I can show you a recording how I off-tank as a D Prot here. I'm solidly ahead of everyone, even though I don't get to cast as many revenges as I could as a main tank. I can show you another log where I main tank this without fucking up my macros and it all goes fine. And here's the thing, check the damage dealt in these logs. Rogues are doing 1.5k DPS, warriors are doing 1k. And with that kind of DPS, you can comfortably kill Veil Strats before the main tank dies. Yes, he will get the debuff, and yes, he will die after Veil Strats has been killed from the burning adrenaline or whatever, but you will not have to make the tank switch. The healers will never have to switch their targets, and this is where the most issues on Veil Strats come from. When healers suddenly need to heal the off tank, who usually is already at half health, he then suddenly gets one shot, the Veil Strats is fucking spinning like a goddamn Beyblade, and you know, just wipes the entire goddamn raid. Now, more numbers. I've seen this pretty cool website used by a bunch on Fight Club, the go-to Discord server for warrior fury crafting, so I'm just gonna go ahead and rely on it. Without any wall buffs, even being stingy on consumables, a properly played D Prot warrior can easily do over 900 fret on Veil Strats. For horde sides, it is a limitation. Yes, warriors will need to slightly slow down. They may pull at around 1k DPS. Rogues can easily go for 1.5k if not more. Casters will never pull, so it's literally warriors only. For Alliance, the DPS threshold is like 30% higher or something due to salvation. And with that sort of DPS, warriors closing in on 1k, rogues going up to 1.5k, you have a very comfortable sub 1 minute kill where only your adrenaline rush targets die. It will not require you to get the second tank into position, switch healing targets, blah blah blah. No, the main tank can just pop shield wall and only die to adrenaline rush after the Veiled Threat has been killed. Now, fun fact, we checked Mitigation, however, a dope-geared Fury Prot, for example. This is, by the way, the guy for whom I off-tanked, so now compare his gear to mine, like, holy fucking shit, he's on a next level. But he mitigated only 55% of the damage, I mitigated 74%. That's a 20% difference, while my threat was more than plenty to hold the threat. So at this point, I just ask you, what's the point of taking 20% more damage while not needing the extra threat? As for the other encounters, let's go through them one by one. We have Razor Gore. Infinite threats after controlling the orb, no points in Fury Prot whatsoever. Next up we have Broodlord, but I'd actually like to come back to it later, so let's do Firemaw instead. Yeah, so every DPS stops DPSing every 20 seconds or whatever. Of the many things that can go wrong there, DPS over aggroing is not one of them. Sure, you can argue that what if the main tank gets hit by the wing buffet, the ability that reduces threat, but if that happens, Fury Prot will not help. It's a percentage-based reduction in threat. And dude, really, if that's the thing that's happening, you have much bigger issues than your tank spec. Crash packs, the ones that are vulnerable to a certain element, yeah, good fucking luck holding threat on Warlocks, blasting 3 to 5k, maybe 9k, whatever crits as a Fury Prot, it really won't help. Mobs are tauntable, however, so threat shouldn't be a factor. There are also threat wiping mechanics like that sleep thingy, so threat is even more trivial. Also add the factor that switching stances for intercept is super good because of those guys cleaving all your clawfies in a matter of seconds, and in my eyes you have a clear winner. Ebon Rock and Flame Gore, they're both taunt based fights as well, meaning that whenever you lose aggro you just taunt. They're also very low damage encounters in terms of how much damage the bosses deals. Whether the fight lasts 20 seconds or 8 minutes or 16 minutes, it's not really much of a difference. Your healers will probably not run out of mana. For Magus, it's like a combination of all three dragons. DPS need to continue running in and out during every single breath, so Deep Prot always gets a head start, and by the time it's execute phase he has a massive lead. Now similarly to Ebon Rock and Flame Gore, the first 80% of the boss health is a very low damage encounter. Like Chromagus doesn't hit that hard assuming you trank him soon enough, and there's like non-existent raid damage. So DPS starting late and giving the Deep Prot a lead is completely whatever. It will probably have zero impacts on your kill time. The only thing that matters is that you nuke it fast enough in the last phase where he enrages at 20% health. Now in Nefarian, main tank gets a solid 5-second lead on the boss while everyone is still dealing with the ads, which already makes threat a non-factor, but on top of that you also have continuous fears to slow the DPS down, as well as phase 3 where everyone goes in skeletons to at least sapper them or do something. That's another threat lead you get as a main tank just before the execute phase. Now finally, let's go back to the Broodlord. The reason why I left this guy for last is because I'm actually somewhat torn on this guy, like I'll give you that. He's the one boss who can legit one-shot your main tank even with Flask, even with like laying of hands and while having Demo Shout on him. As far as I'm aware, it's pretty RNG. But his threat reset is also hardcore, so you want that extra threat as much as possible. If you're a Deep Prot and you get your threat reduced, well, good fucking luck trying to climb up the threat meters again. So like both specs are super valuable in this encounter. The extra mitigation, even if it's 5%, is meaningful, and the extra threat, even if it's 10%, is also super useful. Now, before I finish Broodlord, I tell you my conclusion. Let's take a look at all the Blackwing Layers encounters one more time. Super quick, but from a different perspective, which is mitigation. So Razor Gore, it's completely whatever, doesn't deal damage. Veiled Threat, massive fire damage, can legit one-shot a tank if not properly geared. Firemaw, massive damage. Shadow Flame is like flat 3 to 6k damage, not counting the debuff stacks, which even with over 200 fire resistance after the buffs can stack up reliably to over 20, then just pulls you every 5 or whatever seconds for like 2 to 3k damage. That's a fucking shit ton, dude. Tank can die within a span of a single second. Ebon Rock and Flame Gore are irrelevant as Razor Gore is. Chromagus hits like a goddamn truck when enraged at 20% health. definitely one mitigation for that. And finally we have Nefarian Warrior Call. Good fucking luck taking flat 20% extra damage. I've been legit one-shot by Nefarian in full mitigation gear. Yeah, it fucking matters. So summarizing all these encounters, Broodlord is the one encounter where Threat really matters. The rest you'll never pull from a properly played D-Prot. On the mitigation side, a number of encounters will one-shot your tank, and if your tank dies, suddenly the boss is moving Shadow Flames the whole raid. Good fucking luck with that. What we have here is that Threat pretty much is a non-factor anywhere, but those extra 5% in mitigation just from the talents can actually save your life. Not to mention the fact that if you die early and you lose your world buffs, then suddenly without the world buffs, without a shit ton of consumables, D-Prot and full mitigation gear actually out-threats a Fury Prot. That's kind of a clear winner for me for the most part. Oh, and I did forget one thing, which is like Molten Core encounters. We can go through them real quick as well. All bosses are tauntable, enough said. Now, for the last part of the video I mentioned, I'll share what we do with our guild. Keep in mind we're pretty casual, but here's what we found to work pretty damn good. So we have 4 tanks in the guild, and honestly at this point, I'm not even sure if we have a main tank per se. What we have instead is 2 D-Prot tanks, one of them being a Feral, and then 2 Fury Prot tanks. Depending on the encounter, we'll use a different set. For example, a Razor Ore, our D-Prot warrior will always take the ore. One of the Fury Prot will make sure he's second on threat. Veilstras, we actually have a Fury Prot main tank, it's just because we can't remember the last time when we had our main tank die, so it just allows us to completely ignore the threat meters. D-Prot stays second on threat, the other Fury Prot just goes full DPS. Broodlord, we have a D-Prot initiate so that he would get a threat lead, and after first threat wipe, all 4 of them just fight for threat pretty much. Pharma, D-Prot tanks without a doubt. Feral takes the wing buffets because in that role you don't really care about anything but making sure main tank retains his threat. One of the Fury Prots of course help if a taunt gets resisted for the Feral, but for the most part the Fury Prots just DPS. Ebon Rock and Flame Gore, we used to have a D-Prot tank it with another D-Prot and Fury Prot taking wing buffets and debuffs, but just last week we switched to Fury Prot main tanking it, and both of the D-Prots just taking the wing buffets. This is again kind of a combination of Veilstras, we can't remember the last time the main tank died, and also because sometimes healers cannot react fast enough if the dragons switch their targets to the off tanks while shadow flaming, so it kind of gets rough, and having 2 D-Prots in that position actually helps. For Magus, D-Prot tanks, Fury Prot stays second on threat just because Feral can die in phase due to Chromagus and Rage, while in Nefarian D-Prot tanks, 1 Fury Prot stays second on threat due to once again Feral being at a disadvantage due to Druid class call forcing him into cat form. The other 2 just go full DPS. So basically what we're trying to accomplish here is that we do not first and foremost sacrifice mitigation for threat when we don't need it, because we don't need it. But at the same time, having too many D-Prots is a complete waste too. It's like just wasting resources. Fury Prots can dish out significant DPS, like if they go Berserker stance and all that shit, they dish out like, I don't know, 80% of a proper Fury Warrior DPS. That's a lot and not to be overlooked. The only reason we switched some of the fights to Fury Prot tanking is because we're already 150% confident that healing won't be an issue. We know exactly how much damage the main tank will take and how well the healers can manage it. However, every week I organize and raid lead a random pug on my warrior tank. I'm like, holy fucking shit, dude, I don't want to go Fury Prot, no. Of all the shit happening there, somebody pulling threat is not even in the conversation. It has happened once, as you saw at that Veilstras video at the start of this video, but it's a simple blunder on my end, nothing to do with my spec whatsoever. And yeah, I just run full mitigation all the time, no problem with threat whatsoever. That's it for this video. I hope I provided a bit different perspective on tanking specs, and if there's like anything I'd like you to take away from this video is that you should totally subscribe to my YouTube channel. Bye.